Hello and welcome back to the channel where I talk about astronomy stuff, I guess. Today I want to talk about the Orion Nebula. So recently in February, I took an image of the Orion Nebula back home. And I just want to do an overview of basically the stuff I've done in the past on it to see what I've been able to do now, basically. So the first image you can see here I took in 2021 on the 10th of February, I believe. I took this using the Celestron 127 SLT telescope. It's got a 1500mm focal length and a 4-inch aperture. And this was one single exposure, I think probably 5 or 10 seconds. It was not long at all because my tracking ability was not very good in those days. You can see there's some colour coming through around the centre. I think it's a little off. I'm not sure why. There was no editing or post-processing though. Maybe that is the more natural colour. I'm not entirely sure. You can also make out the trapezium. I'll highlight that there for you. The good thing with the telescope I used for this is it has a high angular resolution, so it's easier to distinguish objects that are close together. So in this image, the trapezium is easily distinguishable even when you zoom in, which I thought was quite cool. I think there's a little bit of trailing. I've got it here in front of me. Yeah, there's definitely a bit of trailing there, and that will be due to the high magnification and rubbish trailing, basically. Tracking. But yeah, other than that, not much else to talk about in the image. But other than it was the first time I'd ever imaged it, basically. And so the next image this brings me on to was taken in 2022 around March. I don't have the exact date on this one, I'm afraid. This is the first time I'd ever stacked an image and done a long set of exposures. These were 30 seconds long, and I believe I took 20 of these. You can see there is a lot more detail coming out in this image, although it looks a bit smoothed, and I think that's due to the optics of the telescope. It has a f ratio of 12, which is not good, really, especially for deep sky. I should have mentioned this telescope that I used for these two images. Definitely not designed for deep sky whatsoever. But, yeah, a lot more detail coming out on it. The trailing is a lot less prevalent in this image. And again, I'll highlight the trapezium for you. I'll even zoom in on it. You can see you're really getting being able to distinguish those stars. And you can see the more reds coming out from the nebula. Not the greatest image, of course, but again, that was down to the telescope. This was done in a field back home. And I think as we was imaging the nebula, it was going down on the horizon, because of the time of year I was doing it. It wasn't up for very long. And I had to readjust the focus for each image. Honestly, 30 seconds and the focus went out, it started becoming blurry. So, yeah, that was something I had to deal with then. So, yeah. And so, this brings me on to what I done this year, February the 28th, 2025. I'm going to show you two images. Well, it's the same image, but they've been processed differently. So, the one you can see now, this was edited in Photoshop. So, I used my usual post-processing methods on this one. Just right off the back, you can see there is way more detail coming out. There's more, well, even picking up more nebula. This was using the, oh blimey, what's it called? My Skywatcher 72 ED. This is the 420mm refracting telescope. It's got an aperture of 72mm, and yeah, just way more detail. It's got a better f ratio. I think it has an f ratio of 5 or 6, so you're getting more light collected, way more detail. The thing is, though, with this image that was taken, the aim wasn't to get a good image that night. It was, I was testing out some new stuff with some software, just seeing what I could figure out of it, basically. So this image is comprised of 5-minute sub-exposures, and that is it. There's not any more longer. It was a very short imaging session because some stuff went wrong, lo and behold. But yeah, you can see way more detail. It's much more crisper. You're seeing more stars. They're the stars are smaller as well, and that's because it's been less magnified, so they're more like points. Overall, it looks very nice. The coloration on this image is, I would say, is a bit off. It almost seems more bluey purple. I wasn't quite happy with that, and I think the nebula transition into the background of space is a bit harsh. So I think I edited this the night I finished doing the astronomy. I wasn't quite happy with it, so I came back to it later the next day, and this is the image that I got. So this image was processed in a piece of software called Cyril. It does all the stacking, all that stuff there. You can like access histograms to change the wavelength, not the wavelengths, but you know, the red, greens and blues you're looking at. You can change that, do all the stretching, that kind of stuff. All the stuff you kind of do in Photoshop, but it's just neater, I think. It's really designed for doing astrophotography processing, so it's really designed for it. It's nice. Right off the back of this image, the transition to the nebula to the background is so much cleaner. The colours, I would say, are much more natural, and that's due to using a process called photometric calibration. So in short, what it does, it looks at where your image was taken, works it all out, and it will compare what colours stars should be compared to what they are on your image, and then it matches those colours to what they should be, and that's how it gets all the nice natural colours. And yeah, I'm very happy with how this turned out. I love the detail on the gases and that. I think a lot more definitely could be done with longer exposures. And something to note with the Orion Nebula is it's one of the easiest targets to image as a beginner, which is why even though I only done 5 sub-exposures, it's come out quite well. You'll notice in the core, compared to the other images, it's overexposed and you cannot make out that trapezium whatsoever. That's because of it just being such a bright area. So what you actually need to do is take a few short exposures of that area, and then you stack it onto your longer exposures. So you do some short exposures, do some longer exposures. That's how you get a nice Orion image. I didn't do that because I wasn't planning on doing an amazing thing with this image. Something I'd like to look at doing in the future. But, yeah. Oh, and something else, this is just, I don't know, just want to point it out anyway. I like the blues coming off on this bit of nebula here, you can see. In the previous images, I've never seen that before, because well, the telescope never picked it up. I just like it. Don't really. The images I've taken in the past, I've not really seen any blues coming out in nebulas, as far as I remember. Obviously, there is stuff like you got the Pleiades cluster. You get a nice blue nebula there, but I've not imaged that one yet. I just like it. Oh, and if I'm going to be really nitpicky with this image, there is a little bit of trailing. Also around the edges, there's a bit of I think it's spherical aberration. I don't think I had the back focus quite right on my field flattener. Something I need to look at in the future, but that's a problem for later. And yeah, so that's a quick comparison of different images I've taken of the Orion Nebula. Next video I do is going to be a little different. It's going to be looking at doing an analysis on sunspots based on a project I've been working on for the last 12 or 13 weeks. So there's going to be a bit more science involved in that one. Less images and stuff, but I've got some nice graphs of what to talk about, so I've got that at least. But yeah, no, thank you very much for watching.